Hello and welcome to Shikanime. Today we are talking about Overlord. The movie is coming to America soon. And so today I'm watching the ZeronicKiba New World Map Explained. It's been a minute since I've done a ZeronicKiba video, so I'm looking forward to it. I've always enjoyed his stuff. I would like to do some more of it. I think I was kind of in a Annie News. I keep hitting the desk with my knees and then everything shakes and I'm like, everything's gonna go flying. I've had a lot of technical issues recently. Anyway, we're gonna take a peek at this new world map. Thank you, ZeronicKiba.
Hey, what's going on, my beautiful viewers? And yes, I am alive. Everything is fine. Yes, I know I have taken a very long, unannounced break from YouTube. I've had a lot of personal stuff going on, and really, I just haven't had any time to make YouTube videos. This is literally like the first chance I've had to sit down and record. And I apologize for that, because there's a few videos I've been wanting to get out before the movie comes out. And at the time of the recording, the movie comes out next week, so I'm very far behind.
Soon.
So I got the idea for this video from a viewer who commented several times that I should do a video going over the map of the New World. It's come to my attention that there's a lot of people that watch Overlord that don't really know like where they are. Like they don't know the layout of where all these places are. Like when we keep jumping from different cities and different countries over to these places, like where are we, you know?
I'm kind of one of them. I feel like I know a little bit because I have seen several of these videos and he uses the map a lot. So I have a vague idea, but I'm down to like learn a little bit more about it and to actually see, just to get to the nitty gritty of it all.
And I know because I've, seen maps tons of times, but if you're an anime only, there's that one scene in season 1 where they show that map of the Riestes Baharuth Slain area in Karn Village, and that's about
Never
it. You
again.
don't really see a map pretty much at all in the Overlord anime. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be going over a few different versions of the Overlord map and just kind of cover the areas and explain what I know about these larger areas, especially the ones that are relevant to the story. Just provide information on what the new world of Overlord looks like, a little bit more to you guys. So
Cool.
the first
Let's
map we are going to be looking at is the largest official
Hey, both of us are wearing purple today. Sorry.
map from the Overlord light novel. This map right here that you're seeing on screen is from Overlord Volume 9. It has been translated, and as you can see here, despite it being the largest one we get from the source material, it really doesn't cover that much of the new world, at least as far as we know and what's been described. So the Great Tomb of Nazarick is right here, and as we can see, it's very close to Karn Village, which is where the first events take place, and it's also right next to the Great Lake and the Great Forest of Tob. These are where a lot of the early events of Season 1 and also Season 2 take place. The Great Lake is where the Lizard Man village is. And
dang, I didn't realize it was that close to Nazarick, but that does make sense that that's why they went there. That's why that was one of the earlier places, because that's incredibly close. I had no idea. I don't know why I thought the Great Tomb of Nazarick was like up more. I think I thought it was closer to Riestes, I think.
Also have Irantel, which is of course the first big city that is introduced in the series. And then we have the Kotz Plains, which is very big in season 3. I like how they outlined it on this map because of like the miasma that apparently exists on the Kotz Plains because of all the death that takes place there. And a quick point I've mentioned several times in my previous videos, but you see here on the legend that a capital is this symbol. Irantel is not a capital. And in the dub of the Overlord anime, they constantly refer to Irantel in the first season as the capital, which it isn't. It's the fortress city Irantel.
Which, you know what? That might be why I had a couple of weird thoughts about Irantel, because I watched the first several episodes, like first 8 or so episodes in the dub before people were like, stop doing the dub. And I stopped doing the dub. But that could explain why I had some like confusion about Riestes versus Riantel, because also I thought Riestes was the name just of the... That's why I could never remember the names, because I was like, well, it's the kingdom, but like it's also the town, and confusing.
Is what it's called. As you can see, the capital of Riestes, which we see in season 4, is a city called Riestes. That's the royal capital. That's where the king and the royal family usually stay. And then near the kingdom after the capital, we have the dwarves' kingdom in the Azerlesia Mountains. And as you can see,
I like that beardy dwarf
to the Great Lake and other areas where they were messing around. So it's kind of like they really put off going to the Dwarven Kingdom until the season 4 content.
Yeah, which is wild,
despite
really
how close the dwarves are to the Great Tomb of Nazareth. And then we also see this city here. This is some sort of translation here, but the way
Re-Blue-Malahashel? Re-Blue-Malahashel. Blue moral hot. Why the re's? Why is everything re or just e?
I pronounced it, or the way I thought it was pronounced is Re-Blum-Rusher, I believe is how.
Oh, but there's a blue before the M. There's an E before the M. I'm gonna say blue, blue Malahashel.
Oh, that's how it's pronounced, but the L's and stuff, whenever you translate over to English, that kind of changes somewhat. That is the only city in Riestes, to my knowledge, that actually does trade with the dwarves. And then as you can see to the north here, we have the Arland, it's called the Arland Council Alliance here, from what I've always known it as the Arland Council State. The Arland Council State is basically the only nation, I think, in like this region that hasn't had like an intermission chapter or anything describing what's going on.
They just chill.
We know very little about the Arland Council State, but basically it's a demi-human nation primarily. Less than 10% of their population is humans. They are controlled by a council of dragons, and Platinum Dragon Lord is on that ruling council. And
okay, so that's why we don't want to go there yet.
They are somewhat friendly with the Riestes Kingdom, and during the invasion of the Sorcerer Kingdom in Season 4, they tried to establish a alliance with Riestes, but because of the speed of the invasion of the Sorcerer Kingdom, they were unable to do anything before they were cut off and kind of just left Riestes to their own devices. Platinum Dragon Lord's interference in the war was actually viewed as like kind of like it's like a rogue individual. Like the Arland Council State, their formal position was, we are not helping the Riestes Kingdom, because in this situation it's been like kind of orchestrated for Riestes to be the aggressors. Speaking of political dynamics, as we're talking about this,
yes,
the
they
Council
did that.
State views Riestes as
because they manipulated that one idiot into, yes, I recall,
as kind of a buffer country to the slain theocracy who persecutes demi-humans and everything. So they never did much with Riestes because they didn't want the slain theocracy to like start like looking at them like, hey, you're getting a little close to us. I mean, that's also why the slain theocracy never invaded the Riestes Kingdom, because they didn't want to be bordered by the Arland Council State. So Riestes politically functions as a buffer state between those two much stronger countries.
Oh my god, it's like, hey, you two don't want to have to share a wall, so I guess I get the biggest bedroom. Like,
another note about this map is, as you can see, they've detailed mountain ranges here. The Riestes Kingdom is mostly surrounded completely by mountain ranges. This is the main reason why Riestes was able to establish itself as a kingdom in the first place, is because of the amount of mountain ranges that surround the country. Makes it very hard to invade. Real life history has taught us that, you know, in medieval times, invading through mountains is freaking impossible. It is so hard to do. And they only have this one little land area, so everything's kind of just like bottlenecked there, and that's why they set up Irantel as a fortress city there. So that has allowed the Riestes Kingdom to remain in relative peace because it's so difficult logistically to invade them. So now we also see a little bit of the Baharuth Empire. Really the only city that's detailed here is Arwentar, the capital, which we see a few times in the Overlord anime. Going south of the Baharuth
does give me Gondor vibes a little bit, you know, like the White City thing.
Empire, we see there's these little mountain ranges here, and then we have what's called the Draconic Kingdom or the Dragon Kingdom. I have a whole video detailing the Dragon Kingdom. Once again, this is one of the countries we don't know very much about, like a whole volume hasn't been there or anything like
Okay.
that. There's been an intermission detailing some stuff in the Dragon Kingdom, but we still don't really know about a lot about them. We know they are being invaded by the Beastman country. They've lost several cities, and their country is kind of in a difficult situation. They've been relying on the Slain Theocracy and Baharuth Empire for military aid, and the Baharuth Empire views the Dragon Kingdom as a buffer state between them and the Beastman country. So they've been helping them out because they want to maintain that buffer state. So something that isn't detailed on this map.
Yeah, it does seem like the Beastmen are a little scary. Like they are just like aggressive, you know?
Is that actually in these mountains that are just north of the Dragon Kingdom are tribes of wyvern riders. We don't really know much about them. We just know that they live in these mountains. And then we have, of course,
oh, that's cool. I love wyvern riders.
Right now, the Robo Holy Kingdom over here, we don't see the whole country. We just see the top half. So as you can see, they've even detailed the Great Wall. That is the wall that was built in order to keep out the demi-humans that are here in the Abelion Hills. It's not stated as the Abelion Hills, but this area right here is the Abelion Hills. And we also see they have this one land route that leads them into Riestes. I've detailed that in my Robo Holy Kingdom Explained video. But then we also have their capital here, which is much farther back from the Great Wall. Their capital is called Hoburns.
But it's not named here, which is interesting.
I believe it's what it's called. And we actually don't even see the capital of the Slain Theocracy on this map. It's too far south for what this map details. But that pretty much covers what's on this map. And from what I understand, this part of the New World is the western edge of the continent, and there's way more stuff going east, because the way it's explained is that when you go east, you're reaching the central continent. So that would describe it as this being the western part of the continent. And from what I understand, these kingdoms in the western part of the country, these human kingdoms, it's kind of viewed as backwater compared to the central continent. We don't know a lot about what's going on in the central continent because the story's focused on here on the western side of it. But that's my understanding, is that the western part of the continent is viewed as like lesser a little bit compared to what is in the central continent. Also is that the farther you move toward...
I mean, like if you think about certain things, even just in our Earth culture, like you get a, you know, sorry, I keep banging into stuff. But like back when, you know, like China was, you know, incredibly advanced. And then in Europe, you got ridiculous nonsense, peasants and very feudal. I don't know. Like, I feel like there was a significant period of time where it was similar into our world, where the East was a lot more technologically advanced than the West was. And then like the West eventually caught up, and in certain cases surpassed. And, you know, like it's been interesting. It's interesting to like look at what Eurasia kind of does and like who was more powerful at which times and why. And like, so that's interesting. That's interesting that it seems like in this new world, we're at a period of time where the East was at its peak and the West was still catching up. Because, like, and then of course, you know, you get to a certain point in history where the West is like, oh, the Eastern barbarians or whatever. It's like all sorts of nonsense. It's like, there's some racism happening now, but anyway, not to get political, please. But yeah, no, I think that's interesting that it's like you know, this is only like a small little section. I wonder if like once Ainz takes over the West, if he'll set his gaze over on the East, and if any of them will have more opportunities and better weaponry, more world items, that kind of thing. That could be cool if at some point, it would have to happen in the light novel first, where it's like a delegation or something, like they notice this like takeover, this random hostile takeover of this whole section of the world, and are like, oh, well, and then they come in with their like really cool world items and maybe fully take out one of the NPCs or something. Like, that, adds some real stakes to what Ainz is dealing with. That could be really interesting.
Towards the central continent, you start seeing humans being treated worse and worse, such as in the Minotaur nation. They were viewed as livestock at one point. The Beastman country views them as food. Like the human populations are more and more subjugated and oppressed as you move out of the western edge of the continent and move towards the center of the continent. But that details the largest official map. Now, over the years, as I've made Overlord content, I've found several other fan art maps where they basically have taken the information that we know about other nations relative to their positions to the nations where we do know their locations off the official map. The one you're seeing on screen is one that I use a lot in my videos, but I use this map a lot because it's very visually appealing. It's nice to look at. I like the way this thing is laid out, but it's not 100% accurate. Like right here, it has the Wyvern Rider tribes as like its own thing here. And then also Dark Elf country. I don't believe there is a Dark Elf country. It's just that the Dark Elves live in a portion of the Elf country. It's just like this is the portion of the country where the Dark Elves lives. It's not a separate entity. Now,
see, like in my brain, I was thinking about like Svartalfheim for like Norse mythology, where you have like the Dokafar, and like the Dark Dwarves, Dark Elves, whatever. They kind of live all in one spot, but it's like they're shared. Like it's a shared area. So it's okay. So in this case, it's like the Elf Kingdom is here, and then so it's like Ireland. You got Ireland and Northern Ireland. It's like a similar vibe, maybe.
On this map, as you can see, they mentioned Ur-Yuanshu, which I've mentioned several times in other videos. So Ur-Yuanshu is actually a floating city. It was viewed as the capital city of the Kingdom of the Eight Greed Kings.
Yes, I was like the floating city. I was like, I remembered one of the Greed Kings. I didn't remember what the city was called, but I did remember that the Greed City had flyings.
Group of players from 500 years ago. They were a group of players that actually conquered the New World and were responsible for the near extinction of the Dragon Lords a long, long time ago in the New World timeline. So the way this map has it, Ur-Yuanshu is in this like yellow outlined area, and then they have the wasteland is what they call it on this map. From what I understand, it's a big desert that is south of the Slain Theocracy, and Ur-Yuanshu is in the middle of that desert, and Ur-Yuanshu literally is floating, like it's in the air. It's like Atlas from Ruby. It floats in the sky, and beneath it is a city that has a magical barrier around it, and also Ur-Yuanshu produces an endless amount of water. So that's why this city and, like basically state was able to establish itself in the middle of a desert, because Ur-Yuanshu produces a unlimited amount of water. And the barrier that surrounds the city beneath Ur-Yuanshu
kind of Mad Maxy,
look like it's like they're not even living in a desert, because the barrier protects them from all the harsh conditions of the desert.
But again, a great place to have a city if you don't want anyone to like attack you. Like, damn.
There's another map I wanted to go over that I found that I really liked. I found it on Reddit. I really liked it. So this map right here is much bigger. It's the biggest one I've seen so far. So this map seems to be more geographically correct to what I know compared to any of the other maps outside the official ones that I've seen. They've really taken the time with establishing like geography here. They even like have labeled capitals. Yes, so Hoburns, I was correct. That's the capital of the Royal Holy Kingdom right there. And then we have the Slain Theocracy here, and their capital, which wasn't on any of the other maps, and their capital was revealed to us in volume 16, and it's called Silk Suntex. Silk Suntux? It's hard to pronounce. I believe in the web novel, the capital city of the Slain Theocracy was called Kami Miyako. Which
that sounds less
Japanese,
gross.
Obviously, and I kind of like that name more because it makes more sense, because the Slain Theocracy was founded by the Six Great Gods, who are from Yggdrasil, who are Japanese, so that would make sense that their city would be named Japanese. So now we go south, and they have the Dolar Desert named here, and then we have Ur-Yuanshu in the middle of this desert, like I explained before. What I really love about this map is it goes more into the central continent and kind of shows a few things that have just been mentioned but never shown in the Overlord light novel.
Karsansis. It sounds like someone put a Karsansis. Yeah, it's like if Arkansas and Kansas had a baby.
up here, northeast of the Carnassus.
Or if Arkansas and Kansas were in a relationship, Carsansas might be their portmanteau.
City-State Alliance is the Equestrian Kingdom, and then we have the plains here, and these are centaur. It's called the Centaur Plains in the light novel, so it's obviously a non-human thing, and it's a kingdom of centaurs, and so that's another race we haven't really seen in the Overlord anime. Hey guys, it's me in post again, and I am here because I realized while editing this video that when I was recording, I completely skipped over talking about the City-State Alliance, which is one of the big countries that we see there on the map. I think the reason I skipped over it when I was recording is because overall we don't know a whole lot about it. It's kind of like the Arland Council State. The most we've gotten on it in the Overlord light novel is there was a short intermission chapter in one of the city-states that took place there. It was from the perspective of the mayor of that city. So I thought I'd just go ahead and give a very brief description of the City-State Alliance here in post to make up for that. So the City-State Alliance is a different type of country compared to all the kingdoms we've talked about.
New Oaknace, Frank, I like some of these names. New Pepe Ale.
Previously, as its name suggests, it is not actually one single country. It is a alliance of various different city-states, and unlike a lot of these states to the west of it, the human population is not the majority of the City-State Alliance. And actually, after the Baharuth Empire's vassalization to the Sorcerer Kingdom, the Adamantite adventurer group Silver Threadbird that we see in Season 4 of the anime has relocated to the City-State Alliance.
I don't remember what the Silver Thread group looked like. There's so many adventurer groups, and I don't remember. I kind of remember what some people looked like, but I only remember the Blue Roses.
Currently, the City-State Alliance is actually in conflict with the Equestrian Kingdom, specifically the Equestrian King, and they've been having some trouble with them because the military power of the City-State Alliance is independent to each city. So each city is pretty much left to fend for itself in terms of military strength in the City-State Alliance. As far as people, as I said, we get an intermission chapter from the perspective of the mayor of the city of Bebad, and her name is Rikista Kabelia, and she actually has a good relationship with Jerkneve, the emperor of the Baharuth Empire. But yeah, as I said, we don't really know a whole lot about the City-State Alliance other than its general structure and that one person in the one city of the City-State Alliance. So like the Dragon Kingdom and the Arland Council State, it's a nation that's close to a lot of the other nations that are in the center of the action, but it has had very little explained about it. So that's why I skipped over it, because I didn't really have much to say on it, I think.
Fair.
So with that...
But then he was like, wait a minute, the comments are gonna come at me, bro.
Being said, let's get back to the actual video here. And then another thing here is we have the Beastman Commonwealth and the Beastman Country. Those are two separate things. A lot of people get this confused in the light novel because they've both been mentioned. The Beastman Commonwealth is apparently at war with the Great Minotaur Nation, and the Great Minotaur Nation is relevant because there was a player called the Minotaur Sage. It's never been 100% confirmed that the Minotaur Sage was a player, but it's very, very heavily implied that the Minotaur Sage was a player. The Minotaur Sage apparently came up with ideas for modern appliances in the New World, like refrigerators and stuff. He wasn't able to create them or anything, but like he would constantly talk about them, and that made people like kind of weary of him because they're like, dude, what are you talking about of these things that don't exist? He also proposed like modern surgical excision as like a way to like heal illnesses. Like he's proposing surgery as like a health option, which doesn't exist in the New World. He died in the Great Minotaur Nation.
Magic,
apparently, right? The weapons he's left behind from like his life have been useful in the Great Minotaur Nation fighting against the Beastman Commonwealth. The Beastman Commonwealth is separate from the Beastman Country, which is the one that's in conflict with the Dragon Kingdom here. And another thing I really like about this is they have detailed something about the occupied cities here. These are the cities that used to belong to the Dragon Kingdom but have been taken over by the Beastman Country.
So cool. Oh my god, I love how much world building has gone into this. It's amazing. Like, there's so much intricate details. I love it when they do that. Like, Tolkien did that. George R. R. Martin to a slightly lesser extent, but like Overlord is like right up there. I did not realize how deep this world was like created just to have either passing mentions or like barely there like blink and you'll miss it sort of things. That's so cool.
Second Kingdom is losing this war as of right now to the Beastman country. So I do like that little detail that they put in this map. And another thing over here that I don't think anyone would know about is the city on the sea, or the Sea City is also what it's referred to. This location is heavily implied to be related to players. It's lumped in together with Uryunshu. We don't really know a lot about the Sea City, but it was mentioned by Platinum Dragon Lord when he was talking to Regret that there is some sort of woman that's sleeping in the city on the sea, and that Platinum Dragon Lord was thinking about waking her up in order to fight against the Sorcerer Kingdom. It's all very vague and
that could be
mysterious,
so
and
cool.
we don't really know a lot about it. If I had to guess, I would say this is probably a guild base from someone that was brought over from Yggdrasil, and it's just been sitting there dormant ever since their deaths. We don't know whose it is. Maybe it was the 6th grade god. So far away from the Slain Theocracy, it makes me think it isn't the Slain.
That could be so freaking cool, though. Like, dang. Oh, see, that's what I was saying earlier. Like, it would be so interesting to, like, have someone from the East show up and actually pose a threat to Ainz at some point during his conquest.
The 6th grade gods, but it could be maybe like they respawned here and then they went into the desert and then they went all the way through the desert and then they came up here and found the Slain Theocracy. Maybe that's what happened. I don't know. I love being able to actually like come up with stuff like that. Are we gonna find out anything about that? I don't know. I highly doubt it actually at this point. Probably one of those things that Maruyama introduced like earlier on, and as the story has progressed, it's kind of been falling out of scope for where he's going to lead the story now. But I think that's interesting because it's heavily implied to be related to players the same way Uryunshu is. So to wrap this up, I want to cover a couple of the points in the desert here. So starting off, we have this point here. It's the largest one, the Great Kingdom of Pabilsag. This is, very little about this. It's just noted as being one of the points of interest in the Dolar Desert, and it is a nation that is bordered by this other nation, Slutarn, and it is inhabited by scorpion men. So once again, it's a non-human nation.
Okay, I'm Scorpion King. We gonna get the Rock in here? Like, that could be fun to get the Rock in this point, you know? I would enjoy that.
Said before, as you move literally anywhere away from where most of the story of Overlord takes place, you see less and less humans. So it's like there's just no more human nations outside this little area. And then also Slutarn here, which is apparently a nation inhabited by genies. I understand why they put them on the map here, because like the Dolar Desert is mostly nothing. There's just a few points of interest, such as Slutarn, the Great Kingdom of Pabilsag, and Uryunshu as well. And so guys, that pretty much sums up the Overlord World Map explanation. As I said, in the official sources, we really didn't get all that much in terms of the geography. For how big the world actually is,
which is crazy,
mentioned just offhandedly in the Overlord story, what we get in the official actual map is a very small chunk. It really reminds me so much of Game of Thrones in that sense.
I was saying
in that, most of the events take place in Westeros, which is just this one.
But yeah, you know what? Yeah, that is true. But like, I don't know how much George R. R. Martin has considered about the rest of the world, to be fair. So when I said he did less than James R. R. Tolkien, James Rolls-Royce Tolkien, that is true. I wasn't really considered, because I know there's so much more of this world that exists, but I hadn't really considered how much Martin has actually put into it. And I know that Tolkien put a lot of thought into the entire world and all of its history and like the evolution of languages and like all of that. So it's like, that's why I said that. So if I'm wrong about that, which I might be, that Martin has actually like the entire world in his head, then he's right up there. That's so cool. I love it when artists do that.
And George R. R. Martin has created a world that goes way outside just what Westeros is. There's so many other places in this world, and it's so different to what we've seen in the Overlord story. Like I said, this one section of the New World that we've pretty much only stayed in is the only area of the New World where there's like these human nations. Everywhere else is like non-human and completely different from what we know in the New World. And it's just such an amazing, fantastical creation. And
so
it's
cool.
something that I love to learn about and to go into, because it's just, how did this come out of one man's mind? I don't know how it happened. It's just the creativity of it is just amazing. So guys, what did you think of this video? Did you learn anything from it? Do you have any things you want to like hyper focus on or hope we get some material on? Leave your
I've already
thoughts in the
said.
comment section
I've already
below.
said.
I always love to hear from you guys. If
I
you
might
enjoyed this
text
video and
him.
you want to see more like it, please hit that
I
like
might comment on his thing though and be like, hey, this is what I was thinking.
button on your way out. And if you aren't already, please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out more than you know, and it'll let you know when I post in the future. With that being said, I want to thank you all for watching to the very end of the video, and I will see you all next time.
All right.
Bye.
Great. Yeah, so I will be liking his little video. Absolutely. Give a like. It does help to leave a like and subscribe. Like all of that stuff really, really does help. Although if you want to see things early from me, then Patreon is the place to do that. That's where I'm going to be. That's where things come up early. That's where they sometimes really, really early. Like crazy early. Like I've got some pre-run stuff up on Patreon that we finished the finale up there, but like we're still like halfway. It's bad. Like there's some stuff, or like Kit has stuff over on Patreon that it's like months away from YouTube. So we've got a lot of early content, a lot of extra stuff over there. There's a whole bunch of shows that I don't know when they're going to show up on YouTube over on Patreon. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you all in the next one.